at climate change science. Climate change is a science that involves systematic study of long-term shifts in Earth's weather patterns and average temperatures, forcing a rapid warming driven by human activities. So here we basically see there is a study of the long-term shifting of the Earth's weather patterns and average temperatures, focusing on rapid warming driven by human activities. So there is human activities, weather, those aspects are there. Then scientists study climate change using the knowledge from fields like meteorology, oceanography, geology, physics, environmental science. Elements of climate, as we've looked at before, these are measurable interacting atmospheric components that define the long-term weather patterns. Climate elements interact to determine the climate of a region. They are determined by latitude, altitude, topography, distance from the sea, and ocean currents. Latitude. The sun rays hit the equator directly, providing strong heat, making the climate hot. High altitudes, especially those ones near the poles, receive slanted, spread out light, causing cold climates. As you can see in the higher, a little bit blue is representing very low temperatures, and red representing very high temperatures. Yellow, those are moderately in temperature. So you can look at that diagram, video magic, and pause and look at it. Altitude. This is the height of land above the sea level. So as you can see in this diagram here, that we have a mountain here, and different measurements that have been put on this diagram, that the higher you go, you see the values of those values increasing. So it shows an increase in altitude, but as altitude is increasing, there is a decrease in temperature. So altitude is the height of land above the sea level. Now as altitude increases, air expands and becomes less dense, making it less effective at retaining heat, thus reducing temperature. Topography. Topography can also be called relief of the land. It acts as the primary determinant of climate by acting as a physical barrier to air movement, influencing temperature through elevation and guiding precipitation patterns. So topography is all about the general appearance of the land. So generally, the land can appear as a mountain, can appear as a valley, it can appear as hills. So its general appearance is called topography. And as we can see, it influences weather characteristics as air masses move over different terrain, leading to localized climatic differences. So as we can see in this mountain, there's an example that is given that when moist air is rising up on one side of the mountain, which is the windward side, and then on the leeward side of the mountain, we're seeing dry air sinking. So the windward side usually experiences rainfall, while the other side doesn't experience rainfall. And air currents including global wind belts and regional monsoons and low-level jets are primary drivers of Africa's climate. So we've seen different kinds of air currents moving, like the southwest monsoon winds. We have the southeast trade winds, the southwest trade winds, the Bangura currents. We have the Mozambique currents. So all these things can also influence the climate of an area. As you can see in Africa, that there are some places that are very dry, there are deserts, but others are a little bit wet, others experience a lot of rainfall, So it's very important to understand and understand that air currents also affect climate. Their proximity to the wet water. So nearness to water also affects the climate. Distance from the sea is primary factor influencing African climate. Weather, coast, experience, So the distance from the sea is a primary factor influencing African climate, where coastal areas experience moderate temperatures and higher rainfall, while inland regions are hot, dry, and continental. The proximity to the sea brings maritime influences that minimize temperature ranges and provide moisture, whereas the interior areas lack these effects, leading to dramatic extremes. So that is very good. Now, ocean currents, which some of them are represented right here. We have the Banguera currents, the Mozambique currents, and the Canary currents. So those currents, the interactions drive the major phenomena which shifts the global rainfall patterns and influences the intensity of storms, droughts, and monsoons. Elements of climate will have the core elements of climate include temperature, precipitation, air pressure, wind, humidity, and solar radiation. So temperature, is the degree of hotness or coldness of the body, of whatever. Then we have precipitation. This is basically about rainfall, amount of rainfall received. We have air pressure. Then we have wind, humidity, and solar radiations. So solar radiations, this energy from the sun, serves as the primary driver for evaporation, temperature changes, and atmospheric stability, acting as the primary driver for all climates. Solar radiation, because if there was no sun, all these climates that we're talking about would be absent. The earth would be very cold, to be a very cold place without any temperature. But presence of the solar radiations, they come and make some changes within the climatic regions of the earth. Temperature is the measure of heat in the atmosphere, influenced by heavily solar radiation and altitude, as we looked at earlier, which affects precipitation and evaporation rates. So precipitation, moisture falls from the atmosphere in form of rain or snow. So here we can talk about rainfall, snow falling, all those things as precipitation. It's about water. So as we can see, it is a source of water for terrestrial life. It plays a big role in determining vegetation, agriculture, and distribution of animals on the planet. Atmospheric pressure is the force exerted by the weight of air above a given point in the atmosphere. So it's highly dependent on altitude, because the higher you go, the atmospheric pressure kind of decreases, and the lower you go, atmospheric pressure increases. We have differences in pressure that cause wind. Then we have air moving from areas with higher pressure to areas with low pressure. Wind velocity and direction. Wind is the horizontal movement of air masses, and it transports heat and moisture across regions, so it determines precipitation and desertification of given regions. Moist winds promote precipitation, dry winds cause desertification. Clouds and cloudiness. This is suspended water droplets in the atmosphere that affects sunlight reaching the ground. It affects solar radiation absorption, hence temperature. Warm areas experience an increased cloud cover. So that is basically what we looked at, areas. Next time, in the next video, we can look at this topic deeper, climate science. We can have a little bit, can dive into some deeper things. So see you in the next video.